We begin tonight with Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, National Security Advisor in the first Trump administration. Good to see you, sir. As always, do you agree with my assessment, number one, that Russia's hurting because of low oil prices, China is hurting because of the lack of orders for their factories from the United States? And secondly, do you agree that Donald Trump may have a little bit better hand in negotiations than much of the media would like us to believe?
Well, I think your comments about the state of play of the Russian and Chinese economies are correct, and they've got some other problems as well. Whether that will actually affect negotiations as they play out depends, of course, on a lot of different factors. But it is fair to say that in any trade war, the typical outcome is that everybody suffers. We will suffer, and they will suffer too. Question, I think, is comparatively how much suffering will take place, and who can bear it better.
Okay. Would it be then fair, not to sort of beat the analogy into the ground, that how much the other side is suffering is really important and has been unreported?
Yeah, yes, I think it is, and I think it's important how much they suffer and what the effects it has on their economies and their societies, and it's important that people understand it. And obviously, when you're dealing with authoritarian regimes like that in Moscow and Beijing, they're not exactly hospitable to the press, to say the least.
CNBC reports now that China is basically trying to dump so much of the product that was meant for the United States into the Chinese market, which is causing huge problems. Also, some new polling data from the United States that farmers in the U.S. are saying, hey, look, we may be able to endure this for longer. 70% of farmers saying they expect the tariffs to prove beneficial in the long run. Emphasis on the long run. Do you see China and Russia yet at the point where they have to start making concessions?
I don't see it yet. In the case of Russia, most of what they would want to sell, which is oil and gas, we've already got under sanctions, as do the Europeans. Not very effective sanctions, by the way. And there are a lot of secondary sanctions we could apply to countries that buy Russian oil or gas. So I actually think those are the more powerful weapons against Russia because of the invasion of Ukraine. But they would have an effect in the tariff war, too, if we were actually to apply them and then enforce them. China's a little bit different. Look, I think the vast majority of China's economic statistics are overstated. They present this picture of economic growth that has been true directionally for a long time, but they're way overstating where they are. And so they're undertaking a lot of steps now to front-run, have taken the steps to front-run the U.S. sanctions, and I'm sure that's going to be a difficulty for them going forward.
The other person who's facing maybe even more pressure would be Vladimir Putin. And all of a sudden, I've noticed this change in Trump, and maybe it is because of this issue with gas prices for Russia. Here's Donald Trump on Russia.
We are getting to a point where some decisions are going to have to be made. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
J.D. Vance earlier said that Vladimir Putin was asking too much to end the war in Ukraine. You've always been circumspect, some sort of suspicious of Donald Trump's ability to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Does this give you optimism?
Well, not optimism so much as I think Trump is irritated that he didn't get his ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Not only didn't he get it in 24 hours, he hasn't gotten it after 100+ days. But what that actually means, if he, for example, as he has forecast he might do, walk away from the ceasefire talks, I don't know. Would he really then put sanctions on Russia, additional sanctions on Russia? Would he step up military assistance to Ukraine, or would he simply stop caring about the conflict altogether? That to me has never been clear. It is, I think, obvious, though, in Moscow that they risk overplaying their hand, and it will be interesting to see, given how much the Trump administration has already conceded to Moscow, if in the next days you don't see something from Russia, perhaps tomorrow on May the 8th, their Victory in Europe Day, the big day of the big parade in Moscow, that Putin has something to say that will make Trump happy. It's just something to watch for, I think, in the near run.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.